Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are, another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Here we go. Hey, you took a deep breath that time.
Episode number 170, Peter.
Jesus.
170. It seems hard to believe that we could have 170 episodes talking about the same damn thing over and over and over again. And I am very proud to be at episode number 170 without any sponsors. What, 2 or 3 guest speakers?
Yeah, but those are awesome when we do those.
Exactly.
That's cool. That's cool.
Exactly. And it's all educational. It's all about how you, the listener, can actually pull off this real estate investing stuff.
Yeah.
Huh? And I go through the book, because we keep a track of the book.
Yeah.
We keep track in a book is what I should say. And I go through the headlines and I go back sometimes and I think to myself, damn, how the hell did I come up with that? And we keep show notes where in the beginning we didn't back in the day. Now we're coming from the point where you and I started without Emma, by the way. We have to clarify this because Emma kind of geeked us out and really made us look good.
Yeah.
Right. But back in the day when we were on the same table in the same place and we had my laptop and it was
She wasn't even helping us yet on that?
No.
Man. Well, no wonder.
Yeah, and we had like some bogus intro and exit. It was like, I don't even know how some of our listeners got through that. I don't know, the first 10 or 20 episodes with all the static and all the noise. It was like, holy crap. Anyways, here we are, episode number 170. Way, 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 way from that
Bill,
part.
I don't think that's possible. We're not old enough to have 170 episodes. We're not that old.
Anyways, today's episode is titled 10 Reasons to Walk Away from Deals Before You Get Screwed. And it's not what you think it is, believe me. Warning!
Yeah, I saw the news this morning.
Warning! This podcast is not for the lighthearted or thin-skinned investor who has purple-colored glasses on. And you know who you are.
So purple, that's a step up from rose-colored?
Sure. That's my version of rose-colored. Why, you may ask? Most investors fail at the most important task in the business, and yet no one talks about it or even attempts to explain it. They plunge into deals without this one reality and understanding of what is actually happening, especially behind the scenes, where it is all hidden. It's like invisible. It's unspoken, Peter.
That's the roughest.
Yeah. If you are doing deals or trying to do deals with this one major blindfold on, well, quite frankly, you aren't going to make it or get any traction.
Bill, you're scaring me.
You're going to like this. Okay, let me get back here. Or you're not going to make any traction or enough traction to make a difference. Okay, I'm going to read that again. Well, quite frankly, you aren't going to make any traction or enough traction to make a difference. In this one episode, you will discover the hidden secrets that you can't see and often feel you don't know what it was. So you can't see it, but you feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you are talking, I like this one. Especially if you are taking the seminar presented from the school or university of hard knocks. This podcast is mostly for the faint who aren't spending money on education themselves.
Yeah.
It will be a true eye popper for you.
No, that last one really got me, the education part.
Yep.
You gave me some. We've been reading lots of books. I've been reading more since I'm with you. I always have, but they're more in this zone, right? And I went to business school. I had economics, accounting, blah blah blah. And I walked out of it. I did a whole year that I went to music school, but learned nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. No, I take it back. I learned it made a difference what color the bathrooms were in a business. The men should be one color, and the women should be some other nice color. And that's all I can retain from that. I swear to God. But I'm educating myself, and right or wrong, I'm looking for answers. And it's scary when they talk about not doing that and just trying to go ahead, do anything, invest, real estate, education. Oh my God, get answers.
Right.
So go for it, Bill. What are you going to teach us today?
We often hear sometimes not doing a deal is the best deal.
Yeah, I heard that 2 weeks ago.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, what it means is it's better that you didn't and not get screwed than did and got screwed.
So
right?
more important, how do you know when to pull the rope on this parachute so you don't hit the ground and go splat? How do you know it's a bad deal?
Yeah.
So well, don't do a bad deal.
Yeah, but what if it is?
How do you know when it's a bad deal?
Well, what if it? How many people we've seen think something's a bad deal? You talk them into it. $100,000 later, 6, 7, 8 months later, they forget to say thank you. I've seen that one too. So you got to know either way.
And more important, how do you know? The bottom line is if you're going to succeed in real estate, in the real estate business, right? If you're going to succeed, you need to get shit done.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to get shit done. You have to. There's no way around it. Okay?
Well, you can do research.
Yeah, exactly. So another question I pose is, what shit?
Yeah.
Right. And if you are new and know what's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And need to get it done, then you'll do it. But what happens if you don't know what you need to get done?
Well, right there is where people freeze.
Right.
So you have to know what you call it, the good shit from the bad shit.
So let's just take my education business.
Yeah, sure.
Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Let's just take that. I'm going to divert for a second. Let's just take my education business.
Yeah.
So the saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That means that you're not aware of the obstacles or the barriers ahead. So if you're not aware of the obstacles or the barriers ahead, how can you make a decision on what you need to be educated on or what you actually need?
I think it gets worse.
Okay.
How do you know what to know that you don't know that you know? How do you find out what you don't know because you don't know?
So in the beginning,
That's
what
the trick
happens?
of it. You don't even know
what
where to
happens
look.
is you try to memorize everything. You try to learn every little last detail just in case you might need it.
Yeah, and maybe that applies to this thing that just happened. But there's too many surprises and too many variables with all the humans and things in the world, right?
Right.
You really can't be prepared for everything.
So now what happens is every single piece of information becomes a senior data.
Important.
It becomes the most important thing. But you don't even know if you need it or don't need it. You're not sure. You're just trying to assume everything or assimilate everything.
Yeah. That's hard.
Just in case.
That's hard.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So it poses to me the question, you need to know the right shit. So what's the right shit?
I mean, what to do and what not to do?
Well, how can you evaluate if you don't know the difference?
Yeah. But you're going to look at both angles, right?
Well, how can you do it any other way?
Yeah. I mean, today, which angle? Are you covering one particular angle today or both? We'll find out as we go.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, keep going. I shut up.
Yeah, so the point is, God bless you, Emma. The point is that you have to have some guidelines so you can make decisions, right? Mm-hmm. So how could you? I mean, the title is 10 Reasons to Walk Away from Deals Before You Get Screwed.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know what's a good deal and how do you know what's a bad deal? And how do you know what you're supposed to be doing and not supposed to be doing so that you don't get in trouble? If you don't draw these lines in the dirt, I had an SEO friend of mine that used to say, you got to put them in the purple ropes, Bill. You got to put them in the purple ropes. All that means is that he was a nightclubber, and they would stand outside to get into a nightclub, and there were purple ropes. Basically, there was a line to get into where they wanted to go. So it was like the right direction, and you couldn't veer from it because if you did, you didn't get into the nightclub. So how does that work? How do we
Right.
do that in this big, vast industry?
Where's our purple ropes?
Right. Like, because you could be too easily distracted. You could be too easily brought into the world of wholesalers. I'm a wholesaler. How many times we have people come up and say that?
Oh, it's like,
Right?
I want to be a wholesaler.
Right. So what that means to me, when somebody comes to my seminars and says, I'm a wholesaler, or I'm going to be a wholesaler, or I'm doing wholesaling, you know what that means?
Yep.
Let me translate that to you in Bill's Planet. It's a big billboard right behind my forehead that I'm looking at. It's a picture that I look at. It's a big billboard, neon billboard. It's black background with red, blue, and purple letters, all mixed together. It's actually, this is the picture I see when I hear somebody say that. Yeah, I swear to God.
That's funny.
The picture I see is when somebody says, I'm a wholesaler, or I'm going to do wholesaling. This is what I see. I'm broke, desperate, and need to do a deal.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
And the guys at the seminar told me I can do this with no money, and I can make 10 grand without hardly even working.
Or getting educated.
Yeah.
See, wholesaling is easy to educate. Oh, go write a purchase and sales agreement and put on there and or signs. And then find your seller. And then find your buyer. And get $5,000 or $10,000. Oh, it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, it's the hardest thing because there's so many people doing it and the banks are onto it and there's so many problems with it these days that it's actually one of the hardest deals to do.
Yeah, and you got to buy the house so damn cheap.
Right. There's a lot of other reasons that go behind it, but there's actually an industry called transactional lending that evolved from this because the banks no longer accept doing a simultaneous closing, which means you close with your a buyer in the morning and then close with your seller in the afternoon, and because all the documents are in the closing agent or the attorney's office
on the
it
same
all
day.
can happen on the same day, but now they won't allow that anymore.
They want you to pay.
So they want to do it. They don't want to do that. So now there's such a thing as transactional
funding,
yeah. Which means that you have to buy the house. Somebody puts up the money for 3 or 4 days. They charge you a fee, and then 3 or 4 days later, you can close with your buyer.
They make you wait a few days.
Okay.
I heard it. I didn't know the timing on it, but yeah, that's yeah.
All right. So getting involved in real estate investing is a very unique opportunity. We all know that, and that I personally, Bill Hawthorne, have seen it change countless lives right in front of my face. I mean, right in front of my eyes. I mean, anywhere from a podcast listener sending me a support ticket telling me that they bought 5 houses, or I got one a week or 2 ago about how they thanked me so much because, and I probably should post this stuff, but I don't, because their family is now in a house because of what I taught them. They were in an apartment before, that kind of stuff. I actually have a coaching client that just did that at 2 meetups ago. She actually told me that she was not working as hard on the investment stuff because they had like 7 people in 3 rooms, and all she could think of, and she works like a fool, and all she could do was to get them out of the house, and now they have like this beautiful house with a yard, and it was because of what we taught her.
That's
so
amazing.
Their lifestyle has.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, their lifestyle has actually improved, not financially, but they improved so that she could actually be more relaxed and do the business.
Well, money doesn't solve everything. Knowledge does. Yeah. Like taking what you have and extending that or leveraging that.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
Em's got the mic. What's up, Em?
I haven't mentioned to you yet this morning, but there was somebody just this morning who sent in a support ticket talking about how to buy real estate without a loan course, and about how they went through it in like 2 weeks, and they're so excited because they made 4 appointments and they got a deal this morning.
Yeah, there's 8 or 9 support tickets I haven't answered yet today. So there you go. So anyway, that's what I mean by in front of my eyes. Thanks, Em. In front of my eyes, countless people I've seen change their lives. But at first glance, venturing into this real estate investing game can seem very daunting. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for those who have no experience or knowledge about how it works, which is everybody. Okay.
Yeah, a few people have, my father and relatives in the business. I'm like, just something. A lot of us, nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Even my own children. I mean, I remember the day that Jesse said to me, Dad, I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I remember that.
Right?
Yes.
She had actually been, and back in early days, she had been to a couple of seminars that I had did, the meetup, the live meetup, right? And we got done one night, and just out of the blue, she just like, I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, Dad, it's amazing that these people come. Because the first meetup we ever did had like, you were there, had like 20 people in it. I mean, it didn't start off struggling.
I've never seen that. I mean, I've run events, but you have your own organization you're part of, or you put some ads in the paper, you pass out flyers. I mean, that whole thing, and then maybe 5, 6 people, 10 people show up, and you do this thing with email, boop-de-doop-de-doo. I sit down and like 15, 20 people walk. I say, how'd you do that? Meetup.com. What are you talking about? Yeah. You put the thing and they show up? Yeah. That's crazy.
No phone.
From all over the state.
No
phoning. You come in, you got the directions. Are you sure you're going to make it? Don't forget, it's tomorrow night. Call me. No.
So Jessie says to me, we're on the ride home. It's like my second meeting, I think, or first meeting, whatever. She's like, I can't believe the amount of people that ask these questions. They're like dying to know about real estate. And more importantly, I had no idea. To watch you answer them, and you have answers for all of it, is just amazing. She goes, I completely drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was maybe the second, maybe the third one. Yeah. I don't know if she was at the first one. But the funny thing is, folks, she worked for you for a couple of years, running errands and going to the banks and the lawyers and signing papers, collecting money, and doing some of this stuff, but not really understanding what it is. Just Dad said to get this paper signed. But when she sat there listening and got the picture of what it meant and how you do things and answering people's questions, she understood what you got.
So it could actually be extremely intimidating. That's what the point is, right? Getting started. So before I give you the 10 reasons to walk away from the deals before you get screwed, all right, you have to know what the ideal scene is first, okay? Only because if you don't know what the ideal scene is, you'll never know when your deals have departed from it. Yeah. And more commonly heard of or spoke of is the deal derails. So you don't know when that happens, So here's what I mean. This is actually the hidden secret that I promised to reveal. Okay? This is it. And this is amazing. I think amazing because it's so important for every executive. All right? A good executive notices indicators very early on and does something about them before there's a derailment or anything bad can happen that causes catastrophe. So a good executive knows that. So what makes a good executive? He has the ideal scene in his head. All right, let me give you an example.
Yep.
The checkbook is empty. Any business, a small business, any business owner knows this. The checkbook is empty. Okay? That happens a lot, right? Well, it happens more than it should. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, the earlier indicator of the executive is he ignored or missed the fact that there was a tremendous amount of outflow or effort put into, say, a marketing campaign. Right? Without producing the results that were needed and wanted.
Right.
Right? See, finding new people to consume your product or service is probably the most magical and most important thing to create a business and massive income.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're not the only one.
Right.
You don't have a monopoly. There's other people, too. How do you get your piece of the pie?
Right. So the indicator is not, the problem is not the empty checkbook. The indicators were probably months before that. Definitely weeks. Most positively days.
Yeah.
Right?
So like the earlier project failed.
Right.
And there's
so the
probably,
outflow and inflow don't match.
Yeah. Oh, right. You did. Yeah.
To give it
Just for
it
business.
really simple description, like in marketing, one of the things that an executive who knows nothing about marketing, which by the way is about 99.5% of all small business guys, they don't understand marketing. I'll give you a lesson on marketing right now for any executive to make it so this doesn't happen. What you do is you measure the outflow to the inflow. So if you send out 100 letters, how many people responded by calling, they did the call to action, clicking a link, whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yep.
How many responded, right? And drive, so push, debug, and drive those things. Debug means if it doesn't work, unbug it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So you push and unbug or undo what it is that stopped it. Right?
Sure.
So if you, as an executive, realize that the outflow to inflow ratio is too small, right, or not viable, then I'm going to tell you right now, here is where you go first. Okay? This is simple, Simon. But if you know this in a business, it could change your business. It could boom your business. So here's where you go first. The list. Who are you talking to? Then look at the message. Then the copy. Because 60% of your marketing is the list. Talking to the right people.
Right. The right.
So in direct mail, it's called the list. On online, it's called the congregation. Speaking to the right congregation, the congregation of people that you want that have that similar. So in other words, a good list or a good congregation has a common think about a specific area or thing. Like, for example, real estate investing. The common think is, I want to make extra money.
Yeah.
That's what most people do. But when I dug in, here's what I found. The common think for real estate investing is this. I want to work once and make multiple profits so it's easier for me. That's the only reason why somebody goes into real estate, because how many industries can produce that? You work once really hard and then make income monthly, or make income yearly, or just make income blatantly. Like for example, you do a renovation and you work, so you work like 100 hours, but you get paid $20, $30, $40, $50,000 to do it.
Yeah, because you're running a little business. You're not doing the whole thing yourself. That 100 hours is finding it, getting the contractors, getting them in there, overseeing them.
But for some people that make $50,000, they got to work 2,000 hours a year.
That's the whole year.
It's 2,000 hours a year.
Yeah.
So if you can beat that by doing it in even 500 hours,
yeah,
you're ahead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes we're doing our own things, and I see you have to spend some time chasing things up. It's like, it's okay. It's maybe 5 hours to get your 1,000.
So we talk about that with
okay.
the different deal structures, because it's like how much you make predicates how much time you put into it.
Yeah, but it's a small deal. You're not going to spend 100 hours.
Okay, so finding people is the most valuable thing. So in copywriting, the list is 60% of the success. 20% is the message you're giving that list or that congregation. And then the other 20% is how you're communicating to them.
Right. So the message is one thing, but how you say it.
Right.
So you can figure your message and have to just say it intelligently so it reaches people.
So I get people that will tell me about my grammar, and they'll tell me about my spelling, and they'll tell me about some the way I write things. Little do they know is I've studied the market, and I'm talking to the right guy. I'm actually talking to the right guy. Now, some of it's me, but 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times it's not me. I've specifically written it that way. The slang and the improper, because those people don't even notice it. So if I have somebody come to me,
that's how they talk.
One-on-one. In fact, it just happened this morning. I have a coaching client that would badger me and say they're very sensitive to the grammar. Those people always never Not always. They never ever make it.
Yeah.
And this person sent me a text this morning saying that she's off the program.
Yeah.
And those people never ever make it because they're too anal about
they're worrying about the little stuff.
Yeah. So now let's go. That segues right into, okay. So what should we pay attention to?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here are 5 things for the entire business.
Mm-hmm.
5 things to pay attention to.
This sounds like I get a piece of paper and write this down.
Totally. Step number 1, which you should pay attention to, okay, is locating and communicating to prospects. Where are they? Just what we're talking about. Where is the congregation?
Mm.
Where do you buy a list? Right? What people do you want to talk to? What are the most likely to want what you have to offer? Which, by the way, what do you have to offer?
Mm.
I buy houses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So who would want to do that? Well, it took me 15 years to figure out for sale by owners. I never marketed for sale by owners. In fact, when you first came in, I told you, yeah, call for sale by owners and practice your script because they're suspects.
Mm-hmm.
And little did I realize how stupid I was. Right? There's exactly what I'm talking about. I had an indicator, and I didn't realize it.
Mm.
Right?
That was weird. I was practicing. I think it was the third person I talked to. We were looking at the house. Do we buy it? No, but hell, I'm like 2 weeks in the business, and instead of worrying about my escrow account, what lawyer, what do I call it? I need a business card. Where's my check? Screw that. Get to work.
So
and you can do those later.
Think
that
of
was
it this
2
way.
weeks later. I'm in a house with you, and you thought it was a nice house, and I was like, holy crap! I might have a chance at this.
Right. So think of it this way: if you want to buy a house, wouldn't it make sense to you talk to somebody that wants to sell one?
Let me think about that.
So where do you find that? So most commonly, it's the MLS with realtors.
What's the problem with that, though?
But there's too much. In fact, if you want to know what the problem is with that, go listen to episode number 90 called Not Dealing with the Real Estate Mob. Go listen to that episode and you'll get it. Okay. Problem is those people are not in it to sell a house. They're in it to get their fees.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only other place you can go is for sale by owners.
Like direct.
Right.
Well, the whole model of this part of the business is like avoiding the conventional trappings and routines and just go straight to the buyers and just go straight, just like under the radar. Let's just work this out amongst ourselves and not get involved with all the crazy.
What's another good list for sale by owners is a good list. It's like they want to sell a house. They're advertising. They want you to call them. You're not intruding. You're not cold calling. You're not doing any of that.
Yeah. Please buy my house. I should be calling.
The next hottest lead would be someone not living in a house.
Yeah.
Whether it be a divorced person or somebody who lives out of state or something like that, or perhaps somebody that inherited a house. They're not living in the house. It's an additional house for them, right? That's another good. So once you hone down on locating and communicating the prospect, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Step 2. Now, once you start communicating to them, you need to pre-screen these people and find out if they really want your stuff, which is making the offer, right? I mean, that's where we're heading, is making the offer. But first, you have to find out, I buy houses. Do you want to sell a house? I mean, how many times do we send yellow letters, especially lately? How many phone calls do we get where people yell at us because we send them a letter? My house is not for sale. Click. They don't even give us their name, address, nothing. They're just like, stop sending me letters. My house is not for sale. Click. They're mad. Why are they mad? We're giving a message to the wrong people. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But yet we had 12 phone calls. You had. Now today it's we had, because I'm going to have to help you. You had 12 messages on our recorder.
Yeah.
On Monday morning.
Yeah.
You called 3 yesterday. 3. How many appointments did you make?
1.
I thought it was 2.
I could have had 2, but
Right.
No.
Right.
Well, I have one for an apartment on another call.
Right.
And then one on a house.
The point is that the message matches
Yeah.
the market.
Yeah.
So when we call, we don't, and we still got 9 more phone calls to make.
What's funny is, like, I call all these people, I don't get an appointment. I don't know what they're doing, but just the way you have it set up with the messages and the
I
it's
turn
not
it
that
on and
hard.
off like a light switch.
It's not that hard. We can't keep up is a problem.
Right.
We hired
Okay.
somebody to help us.
So now you need to pre-screen those people, right? So you need to weed out the suspects, or as Ron LeGrand says, whack the suspects.
Whack them.
Whack them means get them out of your universe.
Like whack-a-mole.
Get them away from you. Get them out of your surroundings. Get them out of your head, because they're eating you alive from the inside out. Okay. Step number 3: conduct and present offers so they can decide if you're the best solution for their situation. Because the offers are not always about money, which is the problem with the MLS. Is it's all about money.
Yeah, it's just a number.
Right.
There's no humanity in it. There's no, well, what are you trying to do?
Right.
Why are you selling the house? Oh.
So what makes me or makes us most unique is that we actually do a consultative sale. We go in and consult with them, and we help them with what's going on. And sometimes it's as simple as, well, you don't have to clean the house out. We'll bring in the 8 dumpsters and clean it out.
That was yesterday. I don't want to have to clean. I'll take in my stuff. I don't have to clean it. Well, we do that.
Right.
Oh, you do? Yeah, okay.
As part of the offer.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't even affect the number. It's just part of because we already figured that in anyways. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you buy those MLS houses, they come like that usually anyhow. So
now here's an amazing one that most people don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to pay capital gains tax. So now there's a perfect terms deal
for the sellers.
Yeah, they're going to take their mother and father have passed away, and there's an inheritance tax.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get around that? Or I bought the house from my mother, and now it's a second home for them, and they have 38% capital gains tax.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you help them avoid that? Right? Hint: you give them payments. Okay, so they're very likely. So, but people
they're not paying tax on the whole amount. They're paying it on the income from that year, which is much less.
So people don't believe when we say that, and ironically enough, it's because of what we're talking about today that they don't find these deals. And we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes, right? So number 3 is construct and present offers so they can decide whether you're their best solution for their problem, right, or their situation. Step number 4. Close the deal. You would think I wouldn't have to say that.
No, but sometimes salesmen keep selling or just don't know when it's done.
The close.
I did it my first one. I kept talking. I just couldn't believe it was happening. You told me, Pete, stop.
Right in front of the customer. Stop talking.
Stop talking.
He's right. He wants to know the details.
Bill tells me that a lot, folks, just so you know.
But I mean, we're in a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
And he wants to know the details. He's asking, how does this work?
Yeah.
That means he's closed, stop selling, and go through the details.
Yep.
Right?
That's all right.
Close the deal. And if you don't close the deal, follow up forever.
Yeah. Not just once, not 7 times. But forever.
Right? Honestly, forever. Right? So that's step number 4. Step number 5, once you've acquired the property, right? Sell quickly so it doesn't cost you a lot to hold it, because the holding cost is the cancer in every deal. I've had, look at that house I had in Plainville that I sold this past year.
I don't want to.
It was a $50,000 deal when I bought it.
Yep.
Plain and simple. So if I screwed up, it was still 35 or 40.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I walked away with like $5,000. I had that house for a year and 3 months. Because of me. Because of me.
Yep.
No other reason. Because of me. Because I was too busy doing this, too busy doing that. I wasn't pounding on the contractors. I didn't have enough attention units on the house.
Yeah. You're a busy guy.
It cost me a fortune.
Yep.
Worrying about answering support tickets and, trying to make new courses and
buy another one,
buying another house. And it was now compare that house to the one we're doing now.
That happened kind of twice because tried the same people. And the next one we thought I had it fixed, it, and the next one, and I'm in there doing some stuff. I'm getting other guys in there. Still too long. We made good money on it, thank God, on that one.
Right.
But we said, let's just do a lease option for a while because maybe the market's going to go funny and all that stuff. I said, geez, I just want to get one right. Can we just do it right once? And it's going very right now.
Right. all it is the amount of attention that I put on it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, also had the right guys this time.
Which is part of putting the right attention on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the 5 steps, which are like the holy grail you should always be paying attention to. Mm-hmm. So every time you do a deal, you go through these steps. So constantly think to yourself, where am I in these steps? Okay. Now here's the amazing thing. Okay. These are actually, which means to me, they would actually make a good checklist.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
I asked you for that. Bill, is there a checklist to close on a house? Because I want to make sure I got all the steps.
It's not even close on a house. It's just doing a deal.
Any steps.
So like,
I mean, the beginning, the middle, the end.
If you have nothing going on, what do you do first? You locate and communicate prospects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once you start talking to the prospects and start getting incoming calls, what do you do next? You pre-screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you find people that need and want your service. Okay, now that you do that, what do? You work on the step of making them an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then once you start working on that, you work on closing the deal. And then once you close the deal, you work on selling it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds kind of simple, but it's the steps.
Well, I think the trick of it is, as you go through that, you're trying to do all those at once, in a sense. If you just do one deal at a time, that would be fine. But you're a multifaceted guy, so we're always trying to get, we got one thing going and like get more. So you have to be able to juggle that.
So there's a difference between doing one and doing 5.
Mm-hmm.
But they all go through the same process. So now what happens is each deal is in a different one of those steps.
Yeah.
So the magic is how many of those could you juggle? I'm not talking about that right now. I'm not talking about me. Because you asked me one time, and I think you were surprised that I even gave you an answer in how quick it was.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me, how many deals could you handle at once?
Yep.
And what was my answer?
15.
And how long was the answer to the question?
15.
There was no lag at all.
No lag.
Because I knew the number.
Yeah, you've been doing it. Yeah.
So I can handle 15 deals at once, right? In my head, right? And lately, I'm not so sure about that because the deals are getting a little more complex because we're doing multifamilies and stuff like that. But that was the answer, right? All right. Now, last thing I want to say before I get to the 10 things, because this is all leading up to that, and you'll see why in a minute.
Yep.
Okay, when we start talking about it. So one thing that I want to talk about is my coaching. And it's not I want to talk about my coaching, but I want to talk about how important this is and why I have an 80 to 85% success rate in my coaching. And it's me, but it's not me. Okay, and here's the reason why. In my coaching group, the huge success is because I do these 2 things. This is all I do. Okay, at the core of everything. And I've never told anybody this before. It's just I know I'm doing this. I'm very aware and conscious of every time that I do it. And it makes my success rate. I've had a success rate as high as 90%.
Yeah.
And the only reason why it stays at 80 or 85% is because I add new people on every month or every couple months. I'll add somebody on, and they drop the success rate because they got to catch up.
Sure.
They got to do step
They're coming
1.
through the whole process.
Well, they got to do step 1. They got to figure out who's the prospect and where to find them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Develop the business. Takes a little bit.
So the first thing I do is I make sure we work only on the next step of the deal. Right. Nothing else until it's time. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had a coaching client call me up and they're like, oh my God, I just talked to this person. And in that same conversation, they go into how much they're going to make and what they're going to do with the money.
It's tempting, but nope.
So what I do is I stay focused on the next step.
Yeah, no, you really do.
Right.
Even when you know there's some weird stuff coming up.
Right.
Because I'll do that. I'll try it because I'm newer at this. I'll worry more like if something happens because I don't have all the answers and solutions for weird things that come up. So I might start asking, what about when you go, we're not there yet.
So let's give an
we're
example.
Not there yet.
Let's give an example.
Go ahead.
So we have a renovation we're doing right now.
Yep.
When we're buying the house, you were worried about the upstairs bathroom being legal.
Yes, right.
And what did I tell you?
I don't know. You just said stop talking.
Yeah.
Pretty
I got
much.
aggravated. I'm like, Pete, I don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
I got aggravated.
Yeah.
Right. The reason why I got aggravated is because we haven't even acquired the house yet, and you were talking about, and the reason why is because we were wholesaling a house. Which, by the way, this house we had almost a $40,000 wholesale profit on. That's how good we bought it. Okay, and I said no. Right, because we decided that we're going to do this renovation, right?
Yeah.
It's going to make more than 40,000, right?
Sure.
So we hadn't even bought. We had just we were. I was dealing with title problems, a clouded title. I hadn't even closed yet, and you're asking me about the bathroom. It's like I can't crowd my head with that.
Guys had some of the guys looking at it brought it up.
You. They spooked you.
Well, they 3 guys said the same thing.
They spooked you.
Yeah.
So now we go through.
I don't
the whole
know. I got to
process.
find out.
Well, they spooked. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's where the mistake is. That's exactly my point. You don't need to find out.
Well, not then. I mean, eventually.
Well, we didn't know that. Because I said to you, how do I know that's even going to come up? So sure enough, it's a month and a half, 2 months later, it came up. See how much easier it is to deal with it now? Now that we've gone through all the other stuff, and I'm just putting the attention on with the right person. And even the other day when he told me, he's on the phone and blah, 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 blah. And then I start asking him questions I find out that day he had multiple things hit him.
Yeah, and
other problems
on
and
another
other
job.
jobs.
Yeah,
And
so
he was
got
stressed.
He got there beat up already, and then one more problem was too many.
So I defused the problem by telling him, "Don't worry about it. Let's do this instead."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a day later, 2 days later, all of a sudden it went from being a problem to I think I figured it out.
Sure.
Right. So it's just the next step.
Yeah, so I have the problem, like you're saying before, not knowing enough. I don't know how long it takes, if there's a problem, if I have to start right now to fix it, or if I can fix it later. Oh, you should have done that before. It's too late because we did this. Now we got to undo it. I don't know that. So I defer to you, though, when you say, stop talking, I wait.
Right.
But, the other guy...
The secret to that in my head is what's the worst that can happen? So what's the worst that can happen if I buy this house and the bathroom's illegal? I shut down the bathroom. I take the bathroom out, and I don't have a second bathroom. Oh, okay. Well, I could still sell the house, and I could still do this. Okay, fine. Yeah. Right? Which is what we're going to talk about.
Good.
Okay. So number 2. So we're talking about, in my coaching group, the hugest success that I have is 2 things. Number 1 is I make sure we only work on the next step. Right? Nothing else until it's time.
Yep.
And then number 2, I look for the departures or the derailments from the next step.
The next one coming up?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'm very sensitive to indicators that are guiding us in the wrong direction.
But just for the next step.
Or adding complexities. That's the bigger one. Adding complexities into completing the next step. Because I like things simple. So if I'm getting complexities, then I usually have somebody doesn't understand something. I'm going to tell you right now, the most common thing that I hit is bad communication. The contractor talked to the town hall and misunderstood something. Like we talk about words or something like that.
Right.
That's the most common thing I hit with students is they're using words, they don't know what they mean. So I'll commonly say to them, do you know what blah, blah, blah means? And they'll hesitate and they'll give me either a wrong definition or some bogus definition. I'm like, okay, let's start with that. Because when complexities come in, it's always a misunderstanding. And it turns into the weirdest communication you could ever imagine. So when I hear weird things going on, I stop and I say, okay, this person doesn't understand something. Right?
Sure.
You teach music. If somebody doesn't understand how to read music and they keep hitting the wrong note, what does it tell you?
Yeah.
The song doesn't sound good because the wrong note was played. Why do they play? Why do they keep doing that? Well, because they have a misunderstanding. They think that note's a D instead of a C.
That's right.
Or I don't even know how to say that. Or
no,
high.
right.
What is it? High.
No, you said that. Yeah.
Okay.
The kid yesterday kept missing a sharp.
Sharp, that's what I'm talking about.
I said, hey, it's funny. He missed the sharp in the first song, and then he added one in the next one when it didn't. He said, hey, you got the sharps backwards. Hey, goddamn, what are you, sharp dyslexic? Come on, get in there. Well, it's fine.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it's understanding. Yeah, I watch my students, and you watch your coaching clients for barriers. They hit a wall, something that they start spinning around a little bit.
So the success for me is to get them through these 5 steps I just talked about. So I think to myself, what step are they in? Right?
Yeah.
So going back over it, so the first step is locating and communicating prospects. Step 2 is pre-screening people who need or want their stuff or want your stuff.
They're talking to somebody they shouldn't even be talking to sometimes, right?
And that is the biggest thing I run into is I have these students that get wrapped up into suspect land.
Gee, I wonder why this deal isn't going very well.
Right.
It shouldn't be going at all.
Or
It's okay,
why is
shoot
the
it.
coaching not working? And it's because they're either not locating people or they're dealing with too many suspects. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
They're not putting the time in, which is exactly what we're going through with some coaching we're doing. That's exactly the reason why the coaching is not working.
Yeah.
You're either not talking, you're not finding the prospects, or you're not weeding them out. It's exactly why our coaching isn't working, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast today. Okay.
Step 3. Is it reflecting?
Yeah. Step 3 is construct and present offers. Step 4 is close the deal. Step 5 is sell quickly. Right. So which stage are you in? Yep. And then once you understand that, now you can start focusing on what happened. Okay. Now watch this. Are you good with that? Does all that clear?
That's clear. I want to make a comment, though, that I'm actually impressed that I didn't realize you would be doing. You always say do this step. I've never heard you say be aware of the next one coming so that nothing weird's coming up, because you can probably start to feel that, right? If it is. Because I know.
It's indicators. It's the indicators I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like if I have a weird indicator.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to talk about it. So let's just keep moving, because it's going to make so much more sense in a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Because when you start hearing what I'm going to talk about,
but that helps me, because I know you can't finish this step if you don't have if you can't do the next one. You'll sit on this step and just like putz, and because you can't get the next one, so you have to have this one and be ready for the next one. That makes sense to me, because that makes sense to me. Okay, keep going.
Right. So
thank you.
This leads us into the 10 reasons that you would want to walk away from a deal, right? So here we go. So the first one is, and there's many of these. These are just the common ones that I can think of when I wrote this. Okay?
10 good ones.
10 good ones, yeah. So here are a few. Now, these are early indicators. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about indicators that would tip you off that things are not going to go right or correctly, or there's some trouble down the road. The sea, in other words, you're on a big ship in the middle of the sea, and it's beautiful, and there's a storm off that you can't see, and you need to get ready for it.
Yeah, but you're starting to see these little chunks of ice coming down the way,
or whatever. There's birds coming by, or whatever. There's going to be indicators. Okay, so why don't you give a definition of an indicator?
Well, that's something that you see that indicates or points out that something else may be happening. Like if there's smoke, that indicates there's probably fire.
Right.
And the smart person goes, wait a minute, something's wrong. The other person goes, I don't see anything, and burns up.
Right. So sometimes, very often, it's the symptom of the disease.
Yeah.
So it's like the symptom. You have a little cough, or you wake up in the morning, you got a little scratchy throat. It's like, that's like the beginning of. It's like something that shows up before the problem does.
Yeah, it indicates something may be coming.
Something's not quite right.
You might be talking about this in one of yours, but if not, like the lady I was talking to yesterday on the phone, that was so annoying. My communication was so bad. You criticized my communication as being so bad. Said you want the deal. Said no, I don't want anything to do with that person, because it was just annoying. Like that's just trouble.
Which is the exact very first one I'm going to talk about.
Is it really?
So
okay,
like
go.
You and the seller don't get along right away. There's not like good harmony there.
Yeah, it was too hard.
Okay. Or there's this sort of tension early on.
Yeah.
Okay. There's lack of the warm and fuzzies. So let's give a blatant example that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but it has a good idea. So I remember Emma and I were showing an apartment, and I had this girl come in, and she's like trying to rent this apartment from me. And she's like, right?
Wow.
And Emma said to me, she had all the qualifications.
Yeah, on paper.
She had everything. She had a deposit. I said everything correct. Emma said to her, she's the one. And I'm like, because here's the point. She's there to impress me.
Yeah, and that's the best she can do. Acting like that.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, that's her best behavior. What's her worst behavior?
You get it?
Yeah, totally.
So once you get that concept, it's the same way when you're talking to a seller. They're putting their best foot forward.
And that's their best foot.
So if that's their best foot, like this woman you were talking to yesterday, if that's her best foot,
Yeah.
so that's okay if you're doing a cash deal, because you're just going to put up with it for 30 days or 45 days and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to do a terms deal and you got to live with this person for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, what's going to happen?
It's like speed dating. Which one do you like? Which one don't you like? It doesn't take long to figure that one out.
Right.
Somebody just turns. Did you like her? No. Why? I don't know. I don't like her, him. Never mind. Just why? I don't care. Out.
It's an indicator.
Yeah. And sometimes you can't even tell what it is. You just don't like it.
You feel it.
Yeah. And if you can feel it, it can only get
So
worse.
I'm not telling you to blow the deal right away, but put it up, put it on your radar.
Go check.
Yeah.
Check mark.
Like
Strike one.
Exactly.
Strike one.
Exactly. So don't put up with it for too long. At some point, you're going to be like, why do I got to deal with this? So if there's lack of some affinity, like the two of you aren't working together to get this deal done, right? Like they think you're an investor and you're like trying to rob from them. Mm-hmm. If you can't get over that hurdle, then it's a deal you may not want to do.
Yeah.
That's one of the better deals to not do.
I think you said it best. You're not saying it right now, so let me remind you. You like the word flexible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That they'll work with you. They're not like, no, it's got to be my way. It's got to be my way. It's some flexibility.
And
cooperation.
And it can't be that way for you either, where you're like, the only way you can buy this property, because this is the biggest thing I'm running into now. Biggest thing I'm running into now is I've preached so much that you can buy real estate without money down that people are refusing deals if they don't put money down. And they're monster deals.
Oh.
They're great deals. It's just that they want a deposit. They want a $10,000 deposit. So you're buying a $360,000 house for $200,000, and they want $10,000 down, and they want 4% interest. So do that.
Do the math. If it works, don't be stuck.
Right.
Wow.
So I've preached so much that you should not do the money down, or they have a perfect lease option deal, and it needs $3 or $4 grand worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And I say, don't put any money into the deal because you have to have the title in your name.
Yeah. And
they blow the deal.
But any money to you is
it could be
bigger money.
Yeah, you have to evaluate every deal.
Sure. I mean, if you're making $15,000 money up front and down payment from a lease option dude to spend $3,000, do the math. It's okay.
Or even better, it's a $200,000 house and he's willing to sell it to you for $140 on a lease option.
Okay.
You got to pay attention.
You got tons of equity. Yeah, if you do all the math, and I mean, some people put 20% down on a house and pay the mortgage to get a renter or two, and lose money for years just so someday maybe they make money.
Yep.
So this is still way ahead of the game.
Okay, so number one is your seller. You and the seller don't get along right away.
Okay.
Right, there's some twinge. Okay. Number two, the seller is not presenting or disclosing all the facts that you need to accurately make a proper offer. And this falls into one that's not on here, but it's something you have to think of all the time. It's doing your homework. So basically, they're misdirecting your homework.
Yeah.
They're trying to avoid you finding something out.
Mm-hmm.
You get it?
Oh, absolutely.
So they intentionally, a lot of times intentionally, don't give you the data. Or they just don't have the data. Like we're looking at apartment buildings right now.
Yeah.
Some people just don't have the data. They're just kind of like going through life. I got this 3-family house, and it's like I collect the checks, and I don't keep track of the electric bills, and I don't keep track of how much I pay.
Maintenance.
I just don't do that. It's like somebody with a car. Never understood this.
It's like a girl with a car. Oh, I got slapped. Or, sometimes people don't pay attention. Could be boys or girls, but I got slapped saying that. Did you see that? I got so slapped.
I didn't even know what you just said.
No, like my wife. Do you need an oil change? Like what? There's a sticker right over here. Right. You're at 9,000 miles over. What does that mean?
You're way off top. So all I was going to say is you get repairs done on your car, right? You pay for it.
Yeah.
They give you an invoice, right?
Yeah.
How hard is it to fold it and put it in a glove box?
In a little envelope that says.
You don't have to put it in an envelope. Just put it in a glove box. At least they're on one. You know what I mean? It's little things like that. So same thing with when you're doing. Just put it in an envelope. Put all your receipts in one envelope, and then you can go back later and sort it out. Okay. If they don't do that, then they deserve to sell for a lower price.
Yeah, they're not paying enough attention.
So sellers not presenting or disclosing all the facts you need. So these are indicators. These are not like blaring, like, oh my gods.
Yeah.
These are just like little indicators that something might be off here.
This still sounds like dating. Is that her real hair?
Stop. Number 3, the edifice or the building. Okay, so the structure, the edifice, like the actual building, okay, is dysfunctional. Right? And that just simply means like you have to walk through a bathroom to get into a bedroom. Okay? You have to walk outside to get into the basement to get into the laundry room. Right? The staircase is like too steep or too narrow to get up into a bedroom.
Right. Good luck getting the bed up there.
Right. Okay, so these are dysfunctional property issues. Okay? So that's not the problem. What the problem is that you're trying to make it a deal. You're struggling to make it a deal. Like, for example, the staircase is a problem. If you can't spend 10 grand or 20 grand to fix it, then you walk away.
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to buy it and eventually want to sell it. They're going to be FHA and they're not going to approve the mortgage. You're going to go through 2 or 3 people and not get the deal done. Because you can't fix it. Okay? Now, everything could be fixed, but it measures now the amount of time, money, and effort that you're going to put into it.
Yep.
Don't be Superman. Take the cape off and just walk away from the deal. But it's an indicator that it's going to get worse down the road. Okay? I'm going to give you an example of exactly that. House is on South Curtis Drive, South Curtis Road. I'll take you there now. I bought that house probably 12 or 13 years ago. And I know it's got exactly that, a bad staircase in it. The dude, you heard me talk about it. The dude works for a newspaper company, signs his paycheck over every week and mails it to my partner. And that's it. Why haven't I pushed him to close on that house? Because I know I'm going to have to deal with it. I didn't notice the indicator when I first bought the house. I did just numbers. I didn't do anything else.
I got you.
Right? And ironically enough, we've made so much money on that house that we could give it to him but right now, and we'd still be ahead.
Yeah, he's had it long enough. He's paid the mortgage down. If you get it back and you have to deal with the stairs, you have so much equity, you're okay.
Okay. Number 4.
He paid for the stairs.
Right. No, so does that make sense?
Sure.
Number 4. The seller is trying to keep all the equity, and if he agrees to terms, he wants a very high payment, leaving no meat on the bones. And allowing you to make some dough.
Not flexible.
No, they're flexible. You know what this is like? You know what this is like? This is like having somebody in your environment, and you know, I'm not gonna do a good job explaining this, but I think you'll get the idea. You have somebody that seems to be very cooperative, but they bring up all the legal shit, and the legal shit stops everything. Right? They bring up all the legal stuff. So they're like, or they bring up all the rules and regulations. It's like, well we could do that, but
well, that's a lot of can't.
Right? So it's like it stops.
How's that different than a newbie or a half newbie like me worrying about something if it's legal, if it's not legal? Well, how's that different? Or is it different?
I don't understand the question.
Well, you have a person that's just, kind of negative, stop. But you have somebody like me trying to buy a house, or somebody like one of your clients.
That's the indicator. The fact that they're doing that they're actually bringing that stuff up, is the indicator that you have to pay attention to. I'm not saying you don't do the deal. I'm just saying that the radar, the little red flag goes up. Like, how far am I going to get with this deal or get with this guy? Sooner or later, it's going to blow up.
Oh, that's the seller doing that. I'm thinking it from like us as buyers if we're over worried about stuff. We're talking about the seller.
Yeah, we're talking about indicators of why you should walk away from a deal and not get screwed.
I got you.
Right?
Yep.
So in this particular case, okay, if they're sucking all, because there's only 2 ways to make money in real estate. That's the equity, buy low, sell high, and the cash flow. And if they want both, and you've heard me say this in the house, I can't buy your house. How come? Because you want all the equity and you want all the cash. You're leaving nothing on the table for me. What would provoke me every single month to want to perpetuate this deal by making your payments and taking care of the property? What am I getting out of it?
Yeah, I like their math. They do the math so everything breaks even. and you get nothing.
Right.
They think that's a good deal. Well, you bring no, we have groceries to buy.
So the main indicator here, which I didn't write, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay. Here's the main indicator. I just thought of it. The main indicator here is that the seller is not concerned where you're getting your money.
Yeah.
They only want their money. They have not taken in consideration where you're getting your money from. Yeah. And when they think that way, and they're not trying to help you stay in the deal, it's an indicator that will blow up later.
Sure.
Okay? And it's very early. It's not even the deal. It's the attitude they have before you start making the offer. So in other words, if you're on the steps, right, and you're on step number 2, right, which is pre-screening the personnel. And they're already giving these indicators like they have no concern where you're getting the money from or how you're going to pay for it. That's an indicator.
So this is a good example of you're on step 2, but you can see step 3 is not going to work out.
Right.
Right? Because when you get to step 3, making the offer, no matter what you say, he wants his and he doesn't care if you have yours.
Right.
By the way, you'd think like, well, don't they all want their money? Yeah, but we've talked to people and I've explained, oh, well, your investor, you need to get all your money. Well, yes, if I buy cash, I have to renovate it. I have to hold the house. When I'm done, I have to make some money. Of course. He goes, and they'll say, well, you got to make your money.
So if
and that guy's okay.
If you tell them up front how you're going to make your money, they want to know that because they don't want a hidden shoe to drop.
That's okay. They can ask it, but they will say. My point is, they will say, well, you got to make your money.
Right.
They'll say that right out loud. The other guy won't say you don't got to make your money because they don't even care.
Right.
They didn't say it, but they will say.
And it's an indicator.
They get it.
It's an early on indicator on whether I should deal with this because here is absolutely the only way to make money with real estate. The only way to make money with real estate. Make offers to motivated sellers. If you do enough of that, you will buy a house. If you did nothing else but that, you will buy a house
because they're willing to give you some.
Right. And then when it's time to sell, make offers to motivated buyers. You put those two things together, and you got you got an amazing business. So my point is that how do you recognize who to make an offer to? Right. These indicators are telling you whether you should stay in or put the red flag up and get out quick. In other words, get your tolerance level much higher or much lower. Lower tolerance.
Tolerate less.
Yeah.
Don't be that greedy for the deal because you won't be happy in it.
Right. So don't talk to everybody the same way. So if you got somebody that's trying to keep all the equity and try to keep all the cash, you throw them one ball, strike one. Throw them another ball, strike two. You throw them another ball. But here's the point. You throw those balls early.
Is this...
Which is why I talk about occasionally giving them the cold ice water dip. Because that's strike one.
Is that the one when you're in the house and it's the first 5 minutes, they say a few things and you go, and I'm standing in the corner and you go, I don't think I'm your guy.
Right.
And my jaw drops. Yeah. But 20 minutes later, half an hour later, you're still talking.
Because they adjusted.
Yeah, the guy goes, why?
We leave.
Why? Yeah, I love when you do that now. Like the first time you did that. I
can picture the house, but remember the house. I couldn't
tell if you were serious or just.
Remember the house we looked at not too long ago? It was a couple months ago where we got there and the guy we were in the kitchen, the guy completely said everything different than what he said, and you were like apologetic because we came out and did the house.
Oh yeah,
that's exactly what happened. Yeah. We were in and out of the house in 10 minutes because there was no way he was going to adjust.
Yeah, he said one thing on the phone, said I didn't say that. You want me to record it? Never mind.
Okay, so number 5. We need to move along here.
Go ahead.
Number 5. This is an indicator now. Indicators are pre the problem. Right? It's difficult to get the seller on the phone or work a deal or work on the deal. Like you call them today and they call you back in a day or two from now.
That's good.
It's not good.
Not good. They wait a couple of days. Okay.
So the indicator is it's difficult to communicate to them. It's difficult to keep speed in the deal. It's like they keep slowing it down. Right? Or they're not responding as quick as they should. Right?
Yep.
We're going to get in this a little bit further, but when I leave the house after making an offer, I give them 2 or 3 things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm testing the seller, see how motivated they are, and I'm testing them to see this exact thing.
Mm.
I want to see if I call them, if I tell them do A, B, and C, and I call them 2 days later and say, how did you make out with A, B, and C? And they haven't done them, it's an indicator that maybe I don't have the deal I thought I had.
Sure. Because there's a lot of things to do on both sides.
Right.
You can ask them, can you get me the mortgage amount, the exact mortgage or the mortgage statement? It's just something simple.
Or I could have just the opposite where I have someone say, oh, well, this happened at work or that happened at work and da-da-da-da-da. Now, what I realize is at that particular point is I'm going to have to run tight control on this deal because this person has environmental problems. They become the effect of their surroundings.
Okay.
You know, like the daughter comes in. You know, like, for example, I had a coaching client the other day, and she couldn't be on the coaching call because the daughter dislocated her shoulder, right? And every week it's something. You know, she's on the call, and I have to leave because I had this emergency, right? So that means that person's surroundings is controlling their environment. They're not being caused. They're being the effect of their environment. So it's an indicator of, okay, how much work do I need to put in this deal and do I want to do it? Okay, these are just indicators. Okay. Number 6, the seller, are we doing okay? Or am I being too profound here?
No, that's,
Okay.
I had a question. Do these show up by step 2?
No, it does. It could be in every one of the steps.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why I wanted to go over the steps, because you're going to want to take a look at these in each place.
is it possible to sort it out by step 2 so you don't
Why?
get too far? I don't know, so you don't waste a deal and get too far?
So this is exactly what we're talking about. You're putting complexities into it because you don't understand something.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something you don't understand.
Mm.
Because let me give you a classic example. So the person's not communicating with you very well.
Mm-hmm.
We call it ghosting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you ready?
Sure.
Just to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
You ready? So when you're originally trying to contact somebody about a deal, could that happen?
Yeah.
When you're looking for a prospect, could that happen?
Oh, sure.
Okay, good. So suppose you started talking to them and you're talking about pre-screening them.
Yeah.
You said something you don't like and you want to follow up. Could that happen? Could they ghost you? Okay, good. So you're constructing the offer. Could they ghost you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So you're getting ready to close. Could they ghost you?
Mm. I guess my question is, how good can we be to nip it in the bud before we waste too much time and go halfway through? Is it possible? You just have to just
Well, that's why I'm
push
giving you
through.
these indicators, because these indicators are going to help you weigh that.
Okay.
Weigh that.
So as soon as you see enough
So
of
if
them,
you see one of these or see a couple of these, your radar goes up, and right away you throw the balls and see if they strike out. Throw balls.
yeah. My real question is, how good can we be with this and just not waste our own time, break our own hearts, and get
I think
annoyed?
that's a whole seminar, to be honest with you.
Well,
Numbers.
I think he answered it okay, but
Number
so
6.
it's up to the person to decide.
Well, that's why I'm going over the indicators, so you could. If some of these are sneaking into your deal, then you know that there's something going on, and you need to figure it out soon. So number 6, the seller needs advice from someone else on every piece and part of the process, right?
Oh.
Or every decision. Like, I need to talk to my attorney, or I need to talk to my husband, or I need to talk to my daughter, or I need to talk to. They can't make the
Really?
decision on their own. That's an indicator that you probably aren't going to close because you have external influences in the deal that you are not in control of. So that's not a deal you should be paying attention to. There's your answer right there. How much should you pay attention to these deals? If these things are in the deal, then that's not the one, because I'll get a coaching client, right? And they'll be like, they have this deal, and that's all they work on. They stop outflowing. They don't try to find new prospects because they think in their head they've gotten this deal, and these things are in the deal and they don't see them because they're so bent on, this is my deal. This is it. This is my first one. Oh my God, I'm going to get this one. I'm going to make this amount of money, blah, 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 blah. And they go blind, like side blinders, like on a horse.
Oh, sure.
They go blind and don't see anything else.
They want to get the deal, so
and
they keep
these
going.
things are in the deal and they don't see it. So now all of a sudden it's a surprise when they wake up on Thursday morning and the guy says, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Or they're surprised that they got ghosted.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
Which, by the way, I want to change that. I was thinking the other day.
The word?
Yeah. I don't want to use ghosted anymore. I want to use Casper. Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah.
Got that from my
Well, I got the
grandson.
video if you want to borrow it.
My grandson the other day. Number 7.
Yeah.
Okay? You make an appointment. and they don't show up.
What's wrong with that?
Or they arrive late, or they forget.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They seem preoccupied with something else, and it appears the deal's not important with them. That's really, it doesn't even have to be an appointment.
How about they only want to do a 15-minute appointment? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got 15 minutes.
Right.
What?
Right.
I need an hour.
For
what?
a presentation in the house.
Yeah, I got 50 minutes.
Right. They're just, because they think that's all you need to say, I'll give you $65,000 for the house. They just want the number. They have no idea that there's other things they can do.
They're on the MLS.
Right. So think of it this way. I'm going to make it real easy right now. Okay. What people do agree with this statement, what you put your attention on, well, here, let me put it in my head now. Hang on a second. Oh, I can't think. I can only think.
Well, you had your saying where attention goes.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Where attention goes.
Energies flow. Results show. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get the first. Where attention goes, energy flow, and results show.
Mm.
So if somebody has attention on getting something from this deal, what do you think is going to happen?
You talking about the seller again?
I'm talking about anybody.
If they have attention on getting something from the deal, well, I hope they get something from the deal.
So if a banker has attention on getting the bank loan, what's going to happen?
You get the bank loan?
If the realtor has attention on getting his fee or her fee, what's going to happen?
Hopefully he sells the house and gets his fee.
If the insurance guy has attention on getting his commission, what's going to happen?
That'll happen too. So
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so these sounds like okay. These are okay things.
So all these indicators are that the seller doesn't have attention on getting whatever it is you're offering. Now, it could be you're offering the wrong thing. Could be they have a different idea. The biggest thing that I run into is they have Plan B, and they're measuring Plan B up against what you're offering them to see if it's better. That should be an indicator.
Could this be like a real live Plan B or a hopeful Plan B?
Doesn't matter.
Either one.
Think it's Plan B.
They think they got.
Yeah, like they're going to put it on the market, and in 5 days they're going to get a check for $200,000 and pay no commissions and no closing costs or anything like that. That could be a Plan B, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have high expectations, or they have another expectation that they can do it some other way. That is the most insidious suspect ever.
That sounds a little bit like the other guy who wants everything for him and nothing for you.
Right. Okay. Number 8, you are putting more work into the deal than they are, right? You start to notice the seller is sort of sitting back and waiting for you to do everything, which is what I talked about before. You have to give the seller things to do, like go get the tax record. It's a stupid example. And then you talk to them tomorrow and say, did you get the tax record? No, I didn't. Okay, so when can you get it? I'll get it by tomorrow. Okay, you call tomorrow and they say, no, I didn't. Okay, it's because their attention isn't on it, and it's not important enough to them to bring it forward in their life to make sure it gets done.
Yep.
Right? Because the people that are getting something out of the closing table will get to the closing table quicker. So when you're looking for a prospect, that's one of the things you're looking for is how much attention are they going to put on the deal, and are they going to do the things they need to do? Right?
Sure.
Number 9, the seller is very, very anxious about the deal. This happens a lot in terms deals. Or they get very nervous about some aspect of the deal and can't get over it in their own mind. So, for example, it's owner financing. I just did one. 3-family house. I offered the guy over term, he was going to make $143,000 more than his asking price. Not what he was going to sell for, because I think if he sold, he would have probably got about $25,000 less than what I was going to give him. So I had $143,000 in terms, extra money I was going to pay him over the course of time.
Yeah.
Plus the $25,000, so it's almost $170,000 more money he was going to get from me on a $200,000 piece of property. So it was almost double his money. But his lawyer implanted into his head that what happens if I don't have down payment money? What happens if I don't pay and I have to foreclose? And I couldn't get over that hump. and the deal blew up.
Yep.
Because he wanted. So here's what I said to him. If I give you $20,000 down on this house, you realize that I could buy 4 houses for that $20,000 or more. So why would I do that? Okay, so he sort of understood that. Then it gets to a point where he's like, I just decided I don't want to do any financing because the lawyer implanted in his mind that he should make it. All his idea was he wanted to make it simpler for his kids because he was 80 years old, and when he dies, he wanted to make sure his kids didn't have a hard time.
Yep.
Little did he know the advice the lawyer was giving him was more complicated than what I was doing.
Mm.
He didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's taking the wrong advice from the wrong person. Okay, but I'm the one trying to sell him something, so I'm always the lowest on the totem pole because I'm the one trying to get something from him.
Sure.
Okay, so.
And you're not an attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we should do that.
So, I forgot I lost my train of thought on the deal. So
you offered him more, and he still wouldn't do it.
Right. So I couldn't get over the barrier. Oh, so he said to me, "Well, just give me the $200,000." And I said to him, "Mr. Seller, I have a question for you. Why would I do that?" Well, because then you can own the property. I'm like, well, think of it from my perspective. If I had $200,000 to give to you to own a property, it's making like $800 a month positive cash flow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, because I needed to reposition tenants.
Yep.
Okay, which I could have done. I could have brought it up to about $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it would have taken me a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, good. He said, "Yeah, you're right." I said, "If I had $200,000, whether I have it or not doesn't matter. If I put $200,000 down, you aware I can put $200,000 down on $1 million piece of property and end up with like 20 units, right?
Mm.
And instead of having 800, I could have like 6,000.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of that.
No.
Conversation ended. Deal was over. He knew I was right. Okay. Now, I only did that at the very end of the deal when I was willing to waste the deal.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of starting to piss me off. So I'm like, bam.
Yeah.
Right. So this one says the seller is very anxious about the deal. So he got anxious about doing the financing because if he dies or when he dies, he didn't want to give his kids any trouble. And that's what he was getting anxious about. And the only reason why he got anxious is because the attorney spooked him.
Yep. Yes, he was always. I was with you 3 times we met him, and he was always very friendly, very, very
open. He told me a dozen times he wanted to sell to me. He liked
you. Yeah, I mean, it starts off real good, but then other people get in it.
Right. So one of the questions I asked him was how many real estate deals does your attorney have? How many apartments does he own? And he couldn't answer that question.
That's a good question.
He got nervous.
Because you see, the attorneys, when they talk, they're not talking in the best interest of the client necessarily. They're talking in their own best interest, that they don't give advice that blows up in their own face.
Right. Most attorneys are fearful anyways. It's like yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
Number 9. Okay. Number 10, the last one. You borrow expensive money because no one else will lend on the deal except the one lender who's gashing you, and you feel a little uncomfortable about it.
Mm.
But you need the deal or want to do the deal, and it's an ego thing. So here's the indicator. If you only have one lender that will lend on the deal, you're paying too much.
Mm.
Because if it was a good deal, the Greek glands would swell and a lot of money would rush at the deal. Because here's how we're going to end the podcast. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, Jesus, 1:18. Here's something that you have to have lots of confidence in. You have to have a lot of confidence in this. Money chases deals.
Mm.
Real money. High power money, smart money chases deals.
Mm. Real deals.
Real deals.
Mm.
And what I mean by deals is not like a deal structure. I'm talking about deals like it's like really a good bargain.
Mm-hmm. Safe, risk-free, a lot of equity,
It's a
whatever.
good bargain.
Yeah, it's a good structured deal, and the money's going to be good, safe.
Like buying $180,000 houses for $30,000.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay. And we do those deals.
Mm-hmm.
We have no trouble raising money for those deals.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, good money, fast money, secure money, smart money chases bargain deals or good deals.
Mm-hmm.
So your job is to find those deals. And these 10 things I just gave you will keep you straight and narrow so you could do the 5 steps we're talking about. Because if you're stuck on a step, one of these things is in your deal, not allowing you to go to the next step.
Mm.
And if you have to step back and you have to look at, Bill was talking about not communicating quick enough. I noticed that my seller takes a long time to get me answers or respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Check.
By the way, the laser sharp way to handle any one of these if they are happening, because I'm surprised you didn't ask me that question.
Oh.
So if this is happening, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very technical. So we're going to spend very little time explaining it. I'm being a dumbass right now. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. You sure you're ready?
I've been waiting for this for an hour and 19 minutes.
Okay. What would have to happen for me to buy your house today? So once the guy that's calling you every 2 days, you confront him. Hey, I noticed that you're not calling me back right away, which tells me I'm not providing enough value to you, and you're not excited about the deal. So I want to know what would have to happen to get you really excited. Or what am I doing that you're not in favor of?
Mm-hmm.
Which part of the deal are you not excited about?
That's really good. That's like a really realistic, fix-it kind of answer. I thought you could say whack them, but it'd be too early, way too early to do that. Yeah. That's why I didn't have an answer.
Give them a shot to tell you what they need, to give them a shot to rectify the deal, because think of it this way. What do we know? What do we know as a fact? They have a house for sale.
Right.
Or they have a house, and they will sell it if they get what they want.
Yes.
Right?
So if something doesn't make sense, you should ask them.
Right. So how many times do we get on the phone and we hear, my house isn't for sale, but of course, you know the old saying, if I get the right price, anything's for sale. So what do you ask?
So what happened for me to buy your house today?
What's the right price?
Yeah. I'm afraid to ask that question because it might be high. Well, I like your other one better. It doesn't sound like what's the right price because they'll give you a high one. But
why?
Well, if you get the right terms,
what's the right price?
Yeah,
it's $225,000. What's the value of it? $200,000. Well, what makes your house worth $225,000? Well, because I have a 4-car garage out back. Oh, okay. All right, good. Is that the best you can do? And just and within minutes, you'll know whether you should spend more time with this guy or not.
Sure.
That's all you're trying to do when you're on the phone.
You can arrange the terms if it's a little bit high. If you can arrange terms, it can compensate for all that and still work out.
So you get through the little spiel, like what's the best you can do? Oh, $225,000. Okay, so if I give you $225,000, would you sell me the house? Yeah. Okay, the only way I could do that is if I pay you monthly payments until I get you paid off. Would that keep you awake at night? Well, no, not really. Okay, good. Make an appointment. Or, yes, it would keep me awake at night. Oh, okay. Well, how about if I leased it from you? Would that work? Well, that might work. Okay, you go make an appointment. See, all these things that you're talking about are just because of exactly what I'm saying here. It's getting to the next step. Right? And they're just barriers.
Makes sense. That was nice. That was a nice little role play you did there with yourself.
I haven't heard that before, have I? I haven't had these situations before, have I?
You don't have scripts that say that, do you?
Yeah, exactly. And oh yeah, by the way, that hasn't happened this week. That's why they just rolled off my tongue. So hopefully this helped. So 10 reasons to walk away from deals before you get screwed. And all I'm talking about is you got to go through the 5 steps that we talked about. And notice the indicators early on before they become catastrophes, right? So the point in talking to a seller is to get more and more information. The more you build rapport, the more information you get. So I have a new saying now. I finally figured it out. So let's say you're building a foundation of a house with cinder blocks.
Okay.
Every block is a piece of information. When you get enough blocks and the foundation is done, you can build the house.
Right.
That's like making an offer. You need to build the foundation first. You need to get these little pieces of information until you have enough to build the foundation of making an offer. Now you can build the house. Okay, what kind of house do you want? 3-bedroom, 5-bedroom? You know, there's different options or different ways to build that house. But now that you have the foundation, you have all the information from them, you can make a sensible, applicable offer that would make common sense to them, or would consider them, or at least rattle them enough so that they'll listen more.
And I've seen you do that because I've been in situations where I don't know where to go. And then I learned, like, just keep talking, and I just seen you do that because I can't tell if you know or not know because you're cool and calm, but you just keep talking, and then you go, oh, and then you figure it out. It's like anything, you just have to keep going, and it's okay if you don't know. Right. It might take an hour or half an hour. It doesn't matter.
Well, think of it this way. You could talk to the seller and try to figure out the deal, or you could take whatever portion of the deal you don't understand and come talk to me about it until you figure it out. But sooner or later, you got to figure it out. So you could either do it with the seller and work with them together if you're clever enough to keep the conversation going, or you come talk to me or someone like me and then figure it out and then hope you can go back and revive it.
Right. But get enough data from the seller in the first place to put the puzzle piece together.
Do it all, So it's either you get the data from the seller or you get the data from me. How many times have we been on a coaching client and I'll tell my coach on the call and I'll be like, oh, this is what's going on. And they're like, you think? I'm like, no, definitely. Because I'm looking at these indicators, and almost every time they come back to me, how did you know that? Because I saw the indicator. Because I've had it happen before. Yeah. Right? Cool.
Yes, sir.
Please, 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 I beg you, I'm down on my knees, my hands are crossed, I beg you, give us a review. Please go give us the reviews. We need reviews. Why do we need reviews? Morale. We want to have high morale that we're doing these podcasts and you guys are listening. They've been an hour and a half lately, and I get more hits on the hour and a half ones than I do on the 30-minute ones. So for those couple of people that keep telling me that the podcast should be 30 minutes, you're in the wrong place.
Because those are good hits. The hits, they're like positive response. Excuse me.
There's more downloads when we do the longer
that kind of
podcast than when we do the shorter ones.
Got it.
Because there's more information.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, believe me, I don't want to spend the 2 hours writing it and the hour and a half doing it. If I could take that out of my life, I would at this particular point. Without reviews, I don't want to do that. I'm not motivated to because if you listen to us all the time and you don't give us feedback, and I don't know what you're thinking, I don't know that you like this, or I don't know that you hate this, there's no reason for me to do it. So I start considering myself, that 3 or 4 hours a week, I could go make another offer and make more money. I don't need to be doing this for free unless you give me feedback. So give me some exchange, go do some reviews. Even if you hate it, I don't care. There's bad reviews on there. We have some. Our rating is like 4 stars because early on, people were complaining because we were chit-chatting too much and not giving them information. So they were, dicks about it, and they went and they whacked us. That's fine. They're still there. So what? We fixed it. Right? Because of those people, we knew that, and we fixed it. We no longer do that.
Yeah.
Right, and many other things. Don't forget to go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, and on the top there's courses there. They run anywhere from $10, $20, all the way up to $500. Okay, and there's a lot of stuff there. And if you want to find out about my coaching, just send us a support ticket, and I'll send you a link so you can check it out. With that said, I'll be waiting for your review. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.